Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to our daily quiz for the 27th of Jan. Let's look at the first question. Milena Salvini is known for her contribution to which Indian classical art form? Satriya of Assam, Kathakali of Kerala, Odissi of Odisha, or Kuchipudi of Andhra Pradesh? The correct answer is option B. Milena Salvini is known for making an immense contribution to the Kathakali art form, which is a classical Indian art form from the state of Kerala. This question has been taken up because according to this press release, the Prime Minister has condoled the death of noted Kathakali dancer Miss Milena Salvini. See, Milena Salvini's story is a very interesting story as far as Indian art and culture is concerned. She was a foreign national born in Italy and later settled in France, but was very enthusiastic about Indian classical art forms, especially Kathakali. Her Indian art journey dates back to the 1960s, when she first got a scholarship in 1962 to learn Kathakali at the famous Kerala Kala Mandalam. Later, she returned to France and even established a popular training center which is flourishing even today in France. And she even organized a cultural tour by Kathakali troupe of Kala Mandalam, which was sponsored under the UNESCO Cultural Exchange Program. Later in 1980, she arranged for a European tour of Kala Mandalam's Kutiyattam troupe, which is another art form from Kerala, and her efforts played a direct role in Kutiyattam being recognized as one of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity, which is a UNESCO program for recognizing intangible cultural heritage. Her efforts popularized Indian classical art form across Europe and across Western countries. And in recognition of her efforts, the Indian government had honored her with the Padma Shri Award in 2019. So let us take a moment to condole the death of this eminent dancer who has made an immense contribution to Indian art and culture. Now let's look at the second question. Which of the following are the tri-service agencies or commands of the Indian Armed Forces? Andaman and Nicobar Command, Strategic Forces Command, Defense Cyber Agency, Defense Space Agency. The correct answer is option D. All the four are either tri-service agencies or tri-service commands of the Indian Armed Forces. Amongst the given options, Andaman and Nicobar Command and Strategic Forces Command, they have already been given the command status. Whereas the recently established Defense Cyber Agency and Defense Space Agency, they have just been established as tri-service agencies and they are yet to be given the command status. See, a tri-service organization essentially means that it has the participation of all the three armed forces. That is, the personnel and resources of these agencies and commands are drawn from the Indian Army, the Indian Navy, and the Indian Air Force. So we refer to such armed units as tri-service organizations, and some of them will have the status of an agency, and some of them would be given the status of an independent command. For example, at the strategic Andaman and Nicobar Islands, all the three armed forces have been deployed under a single unified command known as the Andaman and Nicobar Command. Then the Strategic Forces Command, which is a part of India's Nuclear Command Authority, is responsible for deploying and operationalizing India's nuclear assets. Then the recently established Defense Cyber Agency is responsible for cyber warfare, and Defense Space Agency is responsible for space-based warfare. This question on tri-service organizations was taken up because according to this press release from the Ministry of Defense, the Andaman and Nicobar Command has celebrated Republic Day, and this gives us an opportunity to talk about some of the tri-service organizations of the Indian Armed Forces. Now let's look at the third question. Which of the following statements are correct? The Small Satellite Launch Vehicle or SSLV project of ISRO was launched in 1960s with support of the Soviet Union. It is intended to cater to the commercial market for the launch of small satellites into low Earth orbits. Amongst the given statements, the first statement is incorrect, and hence Option B is the right answer. That is 2 only. See, this topic has been picked from the Indian Express, which carries an explained article on the SSLV project of ISRO. This project was launched recently in 2018 and it aims to indigenously develop new launch rockets. So that's the reason why the first statement is incorrect. It was not started in 1960s and it does not involve any foreign assistance. It's an indigenous program launched in 2018 to develop small satellite launch vehicles. Because there exists a huge commercial market for launching small satellites such as microsatellites and nanosatellites. And ISRO has been a leading service provider in this category as it offers reliable and cheap launch options, which have been used by several foreign governments, universities, and private companies. Until now, these small satellites, they were being launched along with big satellite launches, usually through the PSLV. PSLV happens to be a reliable workhorse for the ISRO with more than 50 successful launches. And when big satellites were being launched through PSLV, the smaller micro nano satellites would also take a piggyback ride on the PSLV itself. But assembling the PSLV and launching these missions is more time consuming, and even the cost involved was slightly higher because PSLV is meant for medium sized satellites. But the demand for launching small satellites in India went up significantly, and hence to capture this global commercial market, ISRO has launched a separate launch vehicle project known as SSLV or the Small Satellite Launch Vehicle. This launch vehicle will be designed to carry smaller satellites weighing up to 500 kilograms, and as it would be a smaller vehicle, it can be easily assembled within 72 hours by just around 6 people instead of the 70 days taken by 60 people for assembling a PSLV launch. So SSLV project is designed to develop smaller launch vehicles which can provide cheaper options to launch small satellites at shorter notice, thereby bringing enormous commercial opportunities for ISRO to launch these smaller satellites into low Earth orbits. Now let's look at the fourth question. The America Competes Act of 2022 is likely to benefit India because it offers India a military role in the Indian Ocean to counterbalance China. It extends American technological support for developing electric vehicle batteries in India. It proposes to open up new vistas for talented individuals from across the world with a new startup visa. It assures climate finance to countries like India to invest in renewable energy. The correct answer is option C. According to this article in the Indian Express, the United States has introduced a new bill in the House of Representatives known as the America Competes Act of 2022. If it is passed into an act, it will enable immigrant innovators and entrepreneurs, especially in the field of technology, innovation, and manufacturing, to be eligible for a simplified process of visas and permanent resident status. Through this law, the US is trying to attract immigrant talent, which could nurture the startup and manufacturing industry in the United States. As per the bill, foreign nationals who own startups can easily obtain the PR status and other visa benefits if they can demonstrate that their technology and their companies are enabling job creation and revenue generation in the United States. Such a law will obviously benefit Indians, especially Indian professionals, Indian innovators, and Indian entrepreneurs. Now let's look at a practice question from the 2017 prelims paper. Which principle among the following was added to Directive Principles of State Policy by the 42nd Amendment to the Constitution? Equal pay for equal work for both men and women, participation of workers in the management of industries, right to work, education and public assistance, securing living wage and humane conditions of work to workers. The correct answer is option B. See, the 42nd Amendment to the Constitution, which is often considered to be a mini constitution in itself, introduced 3 changes to Directive Principles of State Policy. It added Article 39A, 43A and 48A to the DPSPs. Article 39A deals with equal justice and free legal aid, whereas Article 48A deals with protection of environment, forest and wildlife. Then Article 43A deals with participation of workers in the management of industries. So option B is the correct answer. Now coming to the fact of the day, let's look at this article in today's The Hindu, which makes a reference to important bird area. According to the article, spot-billed pelicans have died en masse in an important bird area located in Andhra Pradesh, known as Tili Neelapuram. So this article gives us an opportunity to talk about important bird areas and their significance in the conservation of birds. See, this initiative is part of a program known as the Important Bird and Biodiversity Areas Program, which is run by BirdLife International. Under this program of BirdLife International, important biodiversity areas for birds are identified with the aim to monitor and protect a global network of important bird areas in order to promote the conservation of threatened species of birds. This designation provides for a dedicated conservation area, which is usually part of a larger protected area, such as a national park or a wetland or even a wildlife sanctuary or a biosphere reserve. It focuses on protecting the bird population at the global level, regional level, and as well as at the sub-regional level. Under this international program, important bird areas are identified as per a set criteria which is laid down by BirdLife International. If a particular habitat meets these three conditions, then it can be designated as an important bird area under this program. As per the criteria, if an ecosystem is holding significant numbers of one or more globally threatened bird species, and if it is home to a wide set of restricted range species or biome restricted species, and if it is home to exceptionally large number of migratory birds or congregatory birds, then that area will be designated as an important bird area by BirdLife International. Currently under this program, more than 13,000 important bird areas have been identified around the world, and in India alone, there are close to 500 important bird areas. These conservation areas, they cover a range of habitats such as wetland ecosystems, mudflats, microhabitats in biodiversity hotspots, grasslands, scrublands, etc. This status essentially indicates the biodiversity richness of the designated area. Then for prelims, you should also know about this organization. BirdLife International is a global NGO based on partnership, and by working with several conservation groups and organizations, it is striving to conserve birds and their habitats. It also acts as the official Red List Authority on Birds for IUCN and helps in maintaining the list of threatened species. This organization is giving special focus to wetland ecosystems and migratory birds, which is critical in the conservation of bird population. It also publishes a quarterly report that is titled BirdLife the Magazine, which contains authoritative articles on bird conservation. So with this, let's conclude our discussion for today. Thanks for watching.